people? Well, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer, and this week on the show, I am joined by Jack Blair for a playthrough of their game, Space Legs. Space Legs is a game about not colonizing space and relying on the people around you. It is a game about a group of people who are, frankly, already outsiders on Earth, escaping the planet and going and making first contact with aliens and joining the galactic community. It's a game about your relationship with your fellow space travelers. It is a game about found family. It is a game about navigating new spaces, and it is wonderful. It was a wonderful game. We played a wonderful session of it. I really dug it. I think that we told an amazing story, and I really cannot wait for you to hear it. You can find more about Space Legs at toyourstations.itch.io, or you can check the show notes for more information. One quick note before we dive in, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Tabletop Potluck.
Hi, we're Tabletop Potluck, an actual play podcast created to help diversify the world of mainstream tabletop role-playing games.
And make tasty recipes.
And help you find your new favorite RPG system.
And to have fun.
So check it out.
Now on all podcast directories.
Hey, come sit at our table.
And with all that said, let's throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am so excited to be sitting down with Jack Blair. Jack, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thank you for having me.
So real quick, at the top of the show, why don't you take a moment to let the lovely listeners at home know about what we're playing this week, as well as anything else you've got going on that you might want them to know about.
Yeah, so this week we're playing Space Legs, which is a game I designed when my friends did too many crimes for masks. I am generally shooting out little games all over the place at the moment. So come check me out on To Your Stations at Twitter, at To Your Stations on Twitter, where you'll see, I think I've published like 2 games in the last 3 weeks, so things happen.
It's a 2021 mood, you know? It's what else is going on in the world, right?
Yeah.
It is, I mean, I know it's how I've been processing living, is just sometimes a game pops out and I go, oh crap, now I have a thing I have to, I guess, release and show people. Well, that's not great.
Yeah, I'm still working full time. My job got busier thanks to the pandemic, not quieter.
Damn, same hat.
Yeah. Online education turns out very popular right now.
I work for a company that makes software that helps businesses. It's work from home software for businesses. So
yep.
kind of same deal. It was like, yeah. Oh, it turns out this is way more important than it was a year ago. Crap.
Yep. Yeah. So much busier now. But yeah, every now and again, I'll just go, this is a bad idea. I shouldn't do this. And then 3 days later, I've done it. So yeah.
So talk to us about Space Legs. Give us the flyover pitch before we before I introduce my character and we play through a scenario.
Yeah, so Space Legs is a game about being disabled, about being queer, and about not colonizing space. So I'm disabled, I'm very queer, and I am Pākehā New Zealander. I'm a white New Zealander whose family came here during the 1800s. Full on, only here because of the treaty that was signed with the Māori people, etc., etc. Which is the whole thing I'll get into some other day. But the gist of it is that I really wanted to do a space exploration story, but wanted to not do all of the baggage that comes with humans are colonizing space. So instead, I made a game about being the first people in space, first humans to come to space and show up and find out there's already a thriving sort of galactic community. But the thing about being human is that, and being the first humans in space, is that aliens didn't design all of their infrastructure to work for us. They don't have hands with 5 fingers. They don't have legs that bend like that. Some of them need less or more gravity to live than we do. And so by default, everything in the world is inaccessible to us. And so this is a game that makes everybody who plays it disabled, and also encourages you to be disabled in a human sense as well. But yeah, that's the flyover pitch for me.
I love it. I'm excited to dive into it. Should I introduce my character?
Yeah, I really want to know what you've done.
So I am playing the Space Walker playbook. You think of yourself as a mechanic. Other people don't really understand what you're doing. More than being a builder, you're a creator, an engineer, an innovator. You're damn good at what you do, and your organization system only needs to make sense to you. My name is Scrap Heap.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Scrap Heap, he, they pronouns. Wears practical clothes, has laughing eyes, a posture that favors one side, a lean body, curly hair, tanned skin. I grew up I ran a junkyard until I ended up in space. It was a weird particular skill set to have and to be sort of thrust into a galactic environment.
Yeah.
My gender, the options that I have not crossed off, because there's a list of things and you cross off whatever doesn't feel like home. My gender is welding masks, the smell of hot metal, heavy boots, backpacks clinking, picking through scrap, sweat, coal smoke, radio frequencies, fingerless gloves, thick denim. I come from something that I made my own. I like I said, I ran a scrapyard.
Yeah.
It quite literally, I ran a scrap heap. It was why I took the name when I kind of got out into space. And it is what I do. I am good at fixing things, and I am good at fixing things on what other people would describe as out of junk, and what I describe as out of a unique and limited but imaginative budget.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the vibe. Which unique move did you pick?
The unique move that I am picking is Duct Tape Miracle Worker. There's no such thing as a broken piece of tech. Roll plus savvy, and the GM will start a clock for fixing it, based on your result and damage the object has taken. A highly complex or badly damaged piece will take a lot to fix every time, but a lower roll will increase how many steps you need. Fill segments on the clock by spending time or money, finding specialty parts, or asking a contact familiar with this type of technology to help.
Hell yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I had a feeling that was the one you were going to go for when you described Scrap Heap. But good to have that confirmed. Yeah. So before we play, I actually want to do some of the Session 0 stuff with you.
Sure, that sounds great.
So Session 0 of Space Leagues has a couple of really important portions to me. Number one is establishing Earth, and that's actually like a section in which the crew, the GM sort of stays out of it, determine what Earth is like when you left. So in the book, it suggests things like who was in charge, where did you live, how far had climate change progressed by the time you left, what was important to Earth that made you want to leave, or what happened to make you leave.
The vibe that I get from Earth is specifically, like, it's easy to say that mega corporations took over and that, like, it kind of everything was ruined and therefore the only option was to leave or was to get out, was to get out before it got worse. But I think the specific vibe that I get is it's not so much corporations that got bigger and eventually took over everything. It is corporations as a service. Like, the gig economy took over the planet, is what I visualize, is like every single thing was you do this at the behest of some anonymous app that if you get a 4-star rating, you lose your job.
Yeah.
That is the vibe that I think that, like, I left from. And the reason that I left is, I think, like, obviously, like, the you know, everything, so, like, people's life stability was a disaster, the climate was a disaster by way of everything was being run off of blockchains and apps and other various nightmares.
Yeah.
And the reason that I left, and I think the reason that, like, people left, and the way that I left, and the way that people left is, like, space travel, like, and when I say space travel on Earth, I mean literally, I think that, like, in the way that space travel has stalled out in 2021 kind of across the world, I think that the only, like, it is fairly easy to get a space Uber to, like, the moon colony or something like that. You know what I mean? Like we, like, that stuff is, like, there's SpaceX and there's space Uber, and, like, but it goes about as far as maybe, like, Mars. You know what I mean? Like, it's in the solar system. It is locked. It is limited. If you want to go further and actually get away from all of this trash, which I very, very much did, and I am someone that loves trash. I am someone that lives in trash. I am someone that deals in the art of trash. I don't use that word derisively without a very specific intent and purpose. If you want to get away from all of this, the only way to do that is semi-illicitly.
Yes.
Under, like, it is like, there were people that, well, they came into possession of space Uber craft or ships or, like, related sort of ships, supply ships that were carrying things to Mars, stuff like that. Retrofitted them for deep space exploration. And then just noped out of there. Like, no record, no flight clearance, just, like, got out of there while the getting was bad.
Yeah.
Because there was no getting out while the getting was good, because that would have been about 100 years earlier. And, like, that's kind of where I left, right? Like, that's kind of the world that I left behind was, and the way that we left was very specifically, like, tons of ships floating in low orbit, but all kind of corporate branded, with the occasional patchwork galaxy trucker aesthetic cruiser, like, sneaking out under the shadow of nightfall and, like, disappearing into an endless expanse that is, surprise, full of people.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you leave alone?
I think I left alone because I think I always have kind of been alone. I think I left. I hopped on a ship that was, like, looking, and I think the ship that I left on was looking not just for people, but for somebody who could convert this thing. Like, it was, there's a few different ways that people gut ships, and I think that, like, the way that, whether it is unclear whether the ship that I left on was stolen or scrapped and recovered. Frankly, I didn't ask the question. Frankly, I don't need to know.
Yeah, that's somebody else's business.
Yeah, somebody made a call. They called me in to make this thing that was beaten to hell into something that was space-worthy. And that's what I did, and that's why I'm here. I didn't really, like, have anybody to bring along, but also, like, I didn't really have anybody to leave behind.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I had the option, when I was kind of, I don't think I was initially presented with the option to, I don't think I was necessarily, like, told, like, you need to come with us. I think it was sort of a last minute kind of a, hey, like, did you want to come with? Like, you know, we got an empty chair, and I kind of shrugged, threw a backpack on my shoulder, and moseyed inside.
Yeah, so the people you're traveling with now, do they have a particular mission?
It feels like it would be more exciting fiction to say yes, but it feels truer to the ship that I'm envisioning in my head to say no.
Okay, that's totally fair.
It's kind of just, it's very much a group of people that, and it kind of, you know, it ties into the themes of the game, right? Like, about being disabled, being queer, you know, as a queer person, it is that vibe of, like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find something that is mine, and I'm gonna find a space that, like, I actually want to be in, that I'm not like a space that I'm not thinking about survival, and that I'm thinking about, like, joy. I'm just gonna go out there and see and keep walking until I find that spot, right? Like I'm gonna keep hopping around until that spot appears to me.
Yeah, and that's absolutely like the way you finish a campaign of Space Leagues is by getting to a place where your character can survive without having to try anymore, like without having to work so hard at it anymore. And yeah, no, absolutely. In that case, we won't worry too much about your bond to the mission. But what kind of bonds do you have with your crewmates? Have you yourself like defined them at all in your head?
I have not. I am pretty open. I think that my relationship with the crew in general, like, I think the vibe that I get is I like an energy of... I kind of like Scrap Heap's energy as they relate to people being that guy on the couch a little bit. Like he was offered, he was offered a place on this crew kind of incidentally, or at least as he sees it, kind of incidentally. Like, there may have been discussions behind the scenes. There might be people that secretly view them as really important and valuable, but the way that he sees it, it was very much... They had an empty spot. Somebody didn't show up, or got captured by a corporation or something. Like, a spot opened up, and they kind of threw it to me because they didn't want to waste an empty seat. And so, like, I kind of think it's half feeling out process as I relate to the crew, and half I am very much the person that you talk to when you need something. And personally, as someone that spent so much time on his own, I don't think that they mind that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that is all of my questions for now, then. Well, actually, I'm going to start with I'm going to start us off in the game proper with one more question, which is...
Cool.
You've woken up in a room that looks like it's carved directly out of rock. And the last thing you remember is the ship you were traveling on crashing into an asteroid. What had happened? What the hell happened to you?
What happened to me? As I remember it, like, I want to specify first and foremost, the ship handled flawlessly the areas that I had designated the crumple zones. They crumpled. They did what they did, and they crumpled, and that saved there's a lot of ship that can be recovered. These are important things to put up front on the checklist. Granted, this is not the time for reviewing what went wrong. We should probably deal with the situation and then have a post-mortem after where we discuss how we can improve things in the future. That said, I think what happened is... I think it was an unexpected asteroid field. I think it was like an asteroid field that like was not on the record books. It was not like the scanners almost did not pick it up. It almost appeared out of the blue, out of the black. Like, it almost just like, appeared into being, and suddenly there were asteroids. A wing of the ship got hit. We lost control. Suddenly all three dimensions started getting mixed up, and before we know it, we were crashing through one asteroid into another asteroid, and then it gets a little fuzzy, and I wake up with a band-aid on my forehead.
Yeah. So you've woken up. You are in the majority of the room is carved out, so like it's semicircular, carved directly out of rock. You could pretty much guess that you are on the asteroid that you crashed into. The fourth wall of the room is flat across, and appears to be made out of light. You're alone in here, and there is nothing in here with you. None of your tools, none of your stuff. What do you do?
I'm going to immediately, like, look around. I'm going to look at this wall made of light in front of me. And the thing about tools is, you know, the first tool that was ever used, well, it's one that I think that you can find in a pinch pretty much wherever you are. I'm going to throw a rock at this wall of light and see what happens.
Yeah.
When all else fails, you throw a rock at it, and worst case scenario, the rock comes back at you, hits you in the head.
So I don't think it hits you in the head. I think it's sort of... I think it rebounds a little bit, but not enough. It's not like a bouncy wall. It's just a wall.
Okay.
Yeah, so it just comes back at you, kind of scatters to your feet, and you're sort of just in this room.
Well, I confirm that it's a solid surface, and that matter that touches it doesn't get disintegrated and obliterated. Which means that experiment number 1 I can label as a success. We can call that a victory, and I'm gonna walk up and put my hand on the wall of light to see what happens and see if anything changes when I touch the wall.
Yeah. So you come up and put your hand on it, and there's a change in the color where you put your hand on it. It seems to be reacting to the pressure. But then after a second, the whole wall begins flashing different colors at you. Just changing color really rapidly. But it's a pattern that repeats. It looks like it's trying to communicate something by flashing color.
All right. Well, that's second experiment is considered a success, and I think the next thing to do is if there's a rock at my feet, I could probably find at least maybe not a sharp one, but at least like enough of one that I could probably scratch something into a wall, at least deep enough that I can see it, even if it's going to wipe away or blow away or dust away in a moment. But like, start making notes of like the specific colors that are flashing and in what order, so that I can kind of see it laid out in front of me to see if I can translate it into some kind of message or like create some kind of pattern to it as I continue kind of periodically walking up and tapping it and knocking on it for a second, going back and writing the colors on the wall and trying to at least scratch out some kind of a communication pattern.
Yeah, I think that you are trying to decode this, which is actually one of our basic moves.
All right.
So
I'm going to roll plus intuition.
Yes, that's the one.
My intuition is a +1. That is a 13.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So on a hit, you get an idea of what is being conveyed, and on a 10+, you may ask a follow-up question. So, with a 13, this is quite a short message. It's only about 5 colors. And the reason I'm not telling you which colors they are is because I don't want human person Jeff Stormer to think that there is any color symbology going on, because there is not.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they're probably not really colors that I can directly like my eye, like Scrap Heap's eyes are probably perceiving colors to them, but I imagine there's like almost a synesthetic experience there of like, I am seeing the color wet and like, and Scrap Heap being Scrap Heap as I envision them in my head, he's like, all right, well, that's weird, but I'm not gonna I'm gonna write down wet. If that's I'm seeing wet. I'm seeing,
yeah.
I'm seeing screech. I'm seeing the color screech. I'm gonna write that down. Like,
yeah.
There's an experience of like, these are colors that like my brain is struggling to process and break down.
So, Scrap Heap has Scrap Heap been, you know when you're in a building and the fire alarm goes off, and there is like a repeated message, like every now and again, what cuts it to the sirens is like,
yeah,
please remain calm, walk to your nearest exit.
100%.
So what you get is you get the vibe that this is one of those kinds of pre-recorded, please behave messages.
Huh.
Yeah, because it repeats parts of the message more frequently than the rest. And if you leave it alone for longer than a minute or so, it'll calm down. It'll go back to being just light. And you may ask a follow-up question.
The follow-up question is there anything in the room that I can, that Scrap Heap particularly notices that he might be able to fiddle with, to at best to disable or find a way around this wall, or at worst just fiddle with it for the sake of fiddling with it and see what happens on a technical level?
Yeah, I think you're scanning for technology, you're scanning to try and work out what the hell's going on with this light wall, and I think you do notice that it doesn't seem that this light wall was designed to be here in this place. It looks like it's been a kind of jury-rigged in, and so there's a piece of where it's slotted, where the projector for it is slotted into the wall, into the stone wall. You can actually access the projectory bit with a little bit of squidging.
Yeah, so I think what's going to happen is, I think like the second I see that, the light bulb ticks off in my head, and I kind of like put together, like, I'm like, okay, well, and I kind of look back over my notes, and I look at the projector, and I look at my notes, and I look at the projector, and I kind of like assemble all of assemble everything in my head, and I'm like, okay, well then I guess I gotta fiddle with this device until I can leave here. So I'm gonna like walk up and like, kind of with the back of my finger, like, you know, poke it, like give it a little bit of a whack with the back of my two fingers, and like jostle it a little bit, look for like look for what's the word that look for ridges and for lips that I can pull at. Like, basically I'd like to scan object on this and see what I can figure out about it.
Absolutely. Go.
All right.
Ham.
So that's going to be that's a basic move, which is roll plus savvy. On a 7 to 9, I'm going to hold 2, and on a 10 plus, I'm going to hold 3, and on a 6 minus, the GM will make a move, but I can still hold 1. That is that is a 6.
Okay. So I was going to ask if you have any luck, but you've been rolling great so far, so you don't. So mark a point of experience. But you still get 1 hold, so you can ask one of these questions, or I can make my move first, then you can ask a question. Up to you.
Make your move, and then I'll ask a question.
Okay. So you're squidging around in there. I say squidging. It's metal. It's not squidgy.
I mean, it can be. It's outer space.
You're sort of poking this projector and stuff, and you manage to stick your finger just past the light wall onto the other side, and you are sort of like peering through where you managed to stick your finger through, and as you're doing that, a piece of metal sort of sticks itself through where your finger went through, just a long piece of. It looks like it's just a long piece of metal just comes through, and you obviously actually dodge out of the way pretty quickly. But something is on the other side of that and saw your finger go through and is trying to get you away from there.
Well, I don't love that, but well, that gives me 2 ways forward. So actually, you know what? The question that I'm going to ask, and I think the way that I ask it is, Well, if at first it doesn't work, try again. I think the way that I ask this question is by doing this 2 or 3 more times. I put my finger through, the metal jumps out, I dodge out of the way, the metal comes back out, I put my finger back through, and like I put my finger a little bit through and see if it, and like I kind of test it. I'm playing around with it, and I'm kind of starting to smile at this, like I'm starting to do this as play.
Yeah.
And the question that I want to ask is, who does this belong to? Who does this currently belong to?
Yeah, so I think as you're sort of like playing with this being on the other side of the metal, you do get a glimpse at it. And who this belongs to, by the looks of things, is a pony-sized spider.
Huh.
A pony-sized robotic spider.
Huh.
Very, very shiny.
I'm generally pro shiny things. It's kind of my thing.
Yeah, and it's a robot, and it's like sticking a leg in wherever you put your finger.
Mm-hmm. I am going to like try to like, I think from the last one that I do it on, right? Like the last time I do it, I very consciously try to like wiggle my finger into this little gap as much as possible, specifically kind of scraping it along the side of the wall.
Yep.
To try and knock away just a little bit of, even if just a little bit of dust and dirt and grit, so that there's at least enough space that maybe like I can get my eye or like half of my face. Like enough that like I can get some of my face to like, and like enough of my hand that I can kind of like lean backwards a little bit so that the spider's leg doesn't directly jump at me, but like not put my hand through, but like give a little bit of a wave and like a smile and maybe a thumbs up. I think I give a thumbs up because that feels like a very scrap heap thing to do.
Yeah. So you give a thumbs up at the spider, and a little like light projection comes up on the top of its head. It's not got a distinct like abdomen and head. It's just like a ball with legs. And I think on top of its ball, a little light projection shows, and it flashes a bunch of colors, and then shows you an image of your own thumbs up, and then it sticks its leg through again.
And this time I am going to like stand very, very still as it sticks the leg through. And I'm going to like extend my hand as slowly as possible and like put it, while holding my other hand flat up in like a flat, like holding my hand flat, the sort of kind of universally recognized, or at least I hope universally recognized symbol of like, of no danger, right? Like it is, I think, as Scrap Heap is reasoning it, and at least and Jeff Stormer and also Scrap Heap are reasoning this out at the same time. There is it's interest. It is an interest, and this is a side note, just an interesting thing that Jeff knows. It is a very kind of widely recognized symbol. Like as a gesture, the holding up of the hand to symbolize I have nothing in my hand is a very kind of like universally recognized way of conveying like I don't have anything in my hand.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's fascinating the way that sort of transcends like a lot of people, a lot of different ways of communication. So I think it through, and I do that, and I put out my hand to, as best I can, shake the leg of this robotic spider. I'm not doing anything with this hand. Like I've got no tricks, and I put out my hand and I give it like a gentle caress on the side, and I move it up and down in the handshake motion.
So you are angling for extend a hand to shake. I think.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. So okay. So here's the thing. I sent you the rules like a month ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's been updates.
All right. Good.
So, extend a hand to shake is still a thing, sort of. But it's been incorporated and sort of meshed into what the first contact role is.
Good. That works just as well.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that is, because that's also kind of what I'm like. I think it was an instance where like I think I'm kind of angling for either of these two moves to be like I want to like formally kind of introduce myself a little bit in the best terms possible.
So what's changed is first contact is now when you start a conversation with someone who has never met your species before, roll plus no answers to the following questions. And it's those questions from extend a hand to shake.
Okay.
So do I want more from this person than I am willing to offer? Do I present a danger to this person? Have my words and actions towards this person so far been honest? And does this person have any other reason to distrust me?
Do I want more from this person or creature than I am willing to offer? I don't think so.
What is it you want?
I think what I want is to be let out, and what I'm willing to offer is, I mean, to put it bluntly, doing work for a robot spider isn't exactly different than doing work for 5 random people on a ship.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's very fair.
Job's a job, frankly.
Yep.
Do I present a danger? I don't have anything. I don't really have anything other than a rock, which does not seem to have done much.
Yeah, I would say you don't present a danger to this person. I'd say you've been honest so far.
I'd say my honest, yep. And I don't think I do think they have the reason to distrust me on account of the spaceship did crash into here not long ago.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So give it a +3.
+3? You got it. Oh, that is 12.
Nice. Okay. On a 7 to 9, no offense is given on either side, and you gain 1 hold. Spend this hold to gain +1 in any roll involving the crew / person / faction that you met.
Okay.
On a 10 plus, you'll take 2 hold. So that's just an edit of the move.
Got it. Okay.
Because when I've run playtesting in the past, you can just ask a question hasn't actually been like that useful or relevant. But I think what happens is it takes you shaking the hand and kind of is sort of like it's hesitant. But what it does is it does actually like beep down the it presses some sort of button or no, I think it interfaces digitally with the wall door, and the light turns off, and that's an empty spot where it was now, and you are in what looks like an offshoot of a tunnel, with this spider.
I kind of stand in front of the spider and I give it another little wave and a thumbs up.
It shows you your thumbs up back.
All right. I like this spider. The spider and me are getting along great. I kind of look around and kind of give like a shrug to the spider to be like, where am I?
I think what it does is it flashes some colors at you. And then it gives you the thumbs up again. And then it starts walking in a direction down this tunnel.
All right. I think that I feel like we've established the thumbs up is a good thing. I mean, I hope we've established that the thumbs up is a good thing. I don't really have any other leads here, so I'm going to follow after my good friend the spider, who has done nothing to this point. Well, I guess aside from locking me in an energy cage, but that seems to have been a misunderstanding. So I am going to follow the spider.
Yeah.
And see where we're going.
So as you're following the spider, I think the thing that they haven't taken from you is what you were wearing, obviously. And I'm guessing that as you were crashing, you sort of climbed into your spacesuit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think your spacesuit has some comms in it, and as you're following the spider, your comm sort of buzzes to life and goes, Scrappy, you're the first person I can contact. I've been able to contact. Are you okay? Are you alive? What's happening? and it's somebody. It's a young person from your ship. I think their name is Ace. And they sound panicked.
Ace, I'm in a tunnel. I think that's good. I'm not dead. That's probably plus. That's a plus.
Okay, there are spiders everywhere, Grab Heap. Just big robot spiders.
Can you? Ace, I want you to do something for me.
What?
Can you? Do you see one of the spiders? Can one of the spiders see you?
No, I'm hiding. I'm still in the ship. I don't.
Are you attached to a? Oh, you're in the ship. Are you attached to a tunnel?
Because
I don't know if I mentioned I'm in a tunnel.
I'm in sort of like a big open area. There's lots of tunnels that come out of here. I think I've been looking at it's been a few hours since we crashed, I think. I've been looking at the record, like the ship's logs, and it looks like the spiders dragged people out. I don't know why they didn't get me.
Alright, here's what I want you to do, Ace.
Okay.
I want you to do something for me. I got a hunch, and I'm gonna follow that hunch. And if you see a spider, I want you to do something for me.
Yeah?
Call this part of the hunch.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to step out in front of that spider. I know. I want you to step out in front of the spider. I want you to give it a thumbs up.
What the fuck, Scrap Heap?
Look, I am powerful and mysterious. We all know this.
Oh my god. Okay. It might take me a bit to work up to that. There are a lot of spiders, Scrap Heap.
I'm not saying you gotta go out and you gotta give a thumbs up to all of the spiders. Just if one of them is standing in front of you.
Okay.
I'm just working off of, I'm saying it as, I mean, you can do what you gotta do, but I'm saying that as this is my hunch.
Can you find the others?
Ace?
I can't contact them.
I'm gonna work on finding the others, and I need you to work with me on this, Ace.
Okay. Give the spiders a thumbs up. Okay.
If it doesn't work, run?
Oh God. That doesn't seem particularly reassuring. Thanks. Yeah, alright. Give me a call if you have any better advice.
I will, but I probably won't.
Okay. Yeah, try find the others. I will try, and hopefully we're all not dead. Okay. Jesus. And the comms shut off.
Scrap Heap is not really a crew person.
Yeah, that's... I think Ace is like... I'd prepped for the person to be left on a ship to be sort of like the stowaway of the crew. So just sort of excited to be in space, but doesn't really know what the fuck they're doing.
Probably not made better by the fact that they talked to the one cryptic weirdo on the crew.
Exactly. They'll probably try it though.
We'll see how it happens. I mean, it is the hunch that Scrap Heap is working off of. I think I am like following. I think whenever we kind of come to as I follow the hallway, I'm like checking the walls to see if I see any more like flickers of light.
Yeah.
Because I figure if I can see a flicker of light, that's another wall, and at best I can convince my friend, my spider friend here to open it, and at worst, well, then I just kind of gotta lay low for a minute until I can crack I can crack open this this projector.
Yeah, I think as you're walking as well, like there's every now and again there'll be another tunnel that'll branch off. And you're getting like the distinct impression of like an anthill. Like there are just tunnels everywhere in this asteroid. You're presuming that you're in the asteroid that you crashed into. And you hear skittering every now and again. Like, everywhere, in every one of these tunnels, there's a spider. Just doing its job. Whatever that is. And you'll... I think it's like, 5 minutes you're walking. And after those 5 minutes, you sort of get to... You step into an open area, like Ace had said, and right in the middle of it is your ship.
All right.
And those zones certainly crumpled. It is...
They crumpled. Those crumple zones, though.
Yeah.
That's fine ingenuity, because you know what? That means that a lot of the other ship didn't crumble, and...
Yeah. And, like... You survived the crash.
I'm gonna bring this up in the
post-mortem. At least
post-mortem.
Ace survived the crash. Like, they did their job. But the ship does not look good. It sort of crashed, like...
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look great before. It probably looks worse now, but it wasn't exactly running from a place from a pristine condition when it hit the asteroid, and I can't imagine it looks better now.
Yeah, and one of the wings is not in here. And the nose is all crumpled, and glass on the front is broken, and there are tens, if not 100, spider robots sort of crawling all over this room area. They're going into and out of tunnels that are dotting the sides of this sort of cave area. And some of them walk past you, and you notice that one of their front legs is a drill. And it's pretty clear at this point that this is some sort of mining operation that you've crashed into the middle of.
Yeah, right.
And these spiders are the miners. They're doing the work. And you continue following your spider, who doesn't make any attempt to just distinguish itself from the other spiders. Like,
sure. That actually, so I think what happens is, like, if another spider crosses by, like, I think as I kind of, like, if the opportunity presents itself and I pass by another spider, I tap on my comms and I'm like, Ace, stay put. Remember that hunch I talked about? I'm gonna poke around on this hunch myself. No need for us both to get vaporized if this turns out to be a disastrous idea. And then before they can even react, I shut off the comms channel, which is just an ominous message to get. Frankly,
yeah, they like, you know, they hated that. They don't need to tell you.
And I'm gonna lean over, like, if I pass another spider, since the spider saws just need to doing their thing, I'm gonna lean over and I'm gonna throw a thumbs up at one of the other spiders and see if it reacts in the same way that this first spider did.
I think, yeah, you throw a thumbs up at a spider that's walking away from you. And I think it pauses as, like, it's trying to interpret that piece of input, and then it starts following you. Like, it stops doing whatever it was doing and begins to follow you.
I'm gonna walk, like, a little faster to kind of walk alongside, like, rather than, like, follow behind the spider that I've been following, walk, like, a little bit up next to it and try to get its attention and, like, lean down on one knee on probably on like the knee that I favor, right?
Yeah.
The knee that like the side that I favor, my good. I'm gonna lean down on my good knee and like look over back at the first spider to try and get, or back at my buddy spider.
Yeah.
And like point back at the first spider and throw like a thumbs up and a shrug, like with an inquisitive look and hope, and like try to get some kind of a signal. And maybe this is a situation where I can spend a point of hold here.
Yeah.
To and this might be a bit more of an interpretive spending of the hold, but to figure out a way to like add that level of like inquisitiveness or inquisition to the thumbs up gesture that we've already established as the gesture of friendship, to maybe ask it that question of like, am I being followed in an ominous way, or am I being followed in a cool thumbs up way?
I think it just throws you the thumbs up. And the other one that's like come up next to you as well throws you the thumbs up. And they both continue walking in the direction that the first one was going.
And so I immediately, like, the second that the first one and the second one throw me the thumbs up, I think Scrap Heap goes from, I think I'm going to die, to, okay, alright. Well, then these spiders are okay. Like, my posture changes and I relax, and I check my scan. So I imagine my spacesuit probably has some kind of like environmental sensor on it.
Oh yeah, totally.
To be like, if I hit the button and like open my visor so I can breathe, so I can like comfortably breathe, am I going to die immediately?
Not immediately, it says, but like you won't love it. This isn't an oxygenated. There's gravity in here, but only sort of incidentally. This isn't really this isn't a controlled atmosphere.
I like that the sense. So I almost feel like that the exact way that you just described it is how Scrap Heap processes it in his head. is like they're just bombarded with information, and he looks and he goes, okay, cool. So I won't die, but I'm not gonna love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave the visor on for now, but I'm not taking it off the table.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think the sensors tell you it's very cold out there as well. It's not like Arnold Magic School Bus Pluto situation, but it's not awesome either. Arnold, was that his name? I don't know.
I think it was his name. I know. I think so. So I think I kind of like, I relax a little bit. I kind of start to like follow around. I'm like looking at the spiders. I think periodically, maybe one or two more times, I kind of throw a thumbs up at a spider to be like, we're all good. Everything seems fine here. Nobody seems to want to vaporize me, so I'm feeling okay.
But I think if you're throwing thumbs ups at like other passing spiders, you will very quickly like gather an entourage. Because every time you throw a thumbs up at a spider, you direct communication at a spider directly. It joins the party. It comes along with you.
So I think I do that. I think I do that one more time before I kind of start to realize that, and then suddenly there are 3 spiders like hanging around me, and I'm like, I don't want to disrupt the work that's being done here.
Yeah.
I don't mind the company because it's kind of lonely, and I'm hoping that maybe I can probably at some point like connect with somebody about where my friends are. But like, I feel rude ruining people's work. Like, I feel rude distracting people.
Yep.
I'm a person that knows, the value of a work day, right? Like, I am someone that has spent their life working with their hands, and the last thing that you want when you are doing a job with your hands is like somebody coming by and bothering you.
Yeah.
So I kind of like do it one more time, and I'm like, I should probably not. They seem to be getting distracted from the work. I should probably focus and see if I can figure out where my friends are, and then Well, then I'm gonna take it one step at a time. I've got 2 steps ahead of me, which is not normally how I operate, but I think I can make this work.
So, you sort of cross to the other side of this big chamber, and go into a tunnel that very quickly opens up into just being a little room. And you recognize in this little room, there's a few of your things sort of scattered around, like somebody's been, like, searching through them, and they might happen to have spider legs instead of hands with fingers. And there's also, like, a screen in here. It's projected light like the wall that you pass through, but it's quite clearly, like, only window sized. It's not another full wall like your door was. And it flashes a few colours at you, and this isn't a pre-recorded thing. This thing is... I'm gonna get you to roll decode again, I think.
Okay. Can do. That's a +1. Hot fire today. Hot fire today.
Oh, yeah?
Because that's another 13.
Holy shit. Alright.
This is...
Okay,
I'm excited.
So I played a GM-less session of this game, like, 2 weeks ago. And we rolled 1 success all game. So I assume you've got all of ours.
I have to assume that this is... So there's a famous Party of One episode that I think about a lot, where I played a single-player Powered by the Apocalypse game, and just rolled so terribly that the story that we told was the hero's life burns into ash before their very eyes, and then we ended the episode. This feels like this is the comeuppance 100 and some episodes later of having played that game that day.
Yeah, this is just like, actually, I'm gonna make some cool spider friends.
Yeah, I'm making some cool spider friends today. This is great.
Yeah. Also, I've run this scenario like 5 or 6 times, and this is the first time anyone's made friends with the spiders, which is great. I love it. The screen is flashing at you, and you realize pretty quickly that it's not a repeated thing the way the screen was back there. And I think you also pretty quickly gather that they don't know that you can't understand what they're saying. They're assuming that you speak whatever this language that's just some colours is.
I have an idea. So I've gathered that they think that I speak the language.
Yep.
I've gathered that they seem pretty chill with me. They seem to have at least been given some kind of endorsement. Do I get an idea based on, like, my understanding of the previous messages, like what the message that they put on the wall is? Now that I've kind of pieced together that flashing the colors is at least communication, I can kind of start to, like, suss out kind of ideas of, like, or, like, you know, the bits and phrases.
Yeah, so you gather that this isn't pre-recorded, that whatever they're flashing on the wall is
right.
direct speech. You could also gather that it's not the spiders doing the speaking, because they have their own little screens on their heads.
Yeah.
And I'd say you could also gather that it's trying to get some information out of you. Because while it's not repeated, it is occasionally repeating a phrase.
Yeah. I think I sit and I kind of shift in my chair. You know, I'm thinking.
You got a chair?
And I kind of... Good point. I think I'm shifting, like, I'm doing a thing where I kind of shift the slightest bit of weight off of my good leg, and then shift it right back on as it starts to get uncomfortable, right? Like,
yeah.
it's the physical equivalent of, like, leaning back in a chair.
Yeah.
And then kind of leaning forward when you start to fall out. It's like okay, and it's just kind of giving me that little jolt in the back of my head I think I lean down to my spider friend, and I think I would like to, this might be a roll, this might be just an action. I've got one more hold.
Yeah.
To try and get some help out of one of my several spider friends to not just decode, but like this might be another. I don't know if this is quite a first contact, but I'm thinking about this fiction first, and then we'll kind of adjudicate the rules
first,
after.
But I will say you could probably be rolling first contact with the entity behind the screen if you manage to do that. And
because I think what I'm looking for is a way to signal to my spider friend of the ship, like I need to get back. I need to get that ship out of here to like convey like what has happened is like the ship got hurt and I need to take the ship out of here. Because ideally, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking if these are mining spiders, if these are spider miners, like they have the equipment in theory. All of the tools are in place that could apply to fixing up a ship at least enough to get us to whatever the nearest starport is, or the nearest place that we could actually get it properly patched up is. And honestly, if they're working on a job, the last thing they want is a junker of a ship clogging up their tunnels.
That's true.
So if I can figure out a way to get them to work with me on this, and they already seem, at least the robots already seem eager to work with, like the spiders at least seem agreeable, and I like that, then at least I can figure out a way to, there's a common need here that I'm trying to figure out the best way to appeal to. And I feel like my spider friend, if I can give them some kind of signal, like maybe if it's pointing at the ship or finding some kind of nonverbal signal to this spider that seems to be starting to piece together some nonverbal signals with me.
Yeah.
Then I think that might be able to like convey that to the person on the other end of the screen because they speak the language. I think
you're sort of like kneeling down and you're trying to communicate with the spider, and like I think the person behind the screen pretty quickly gets to the gist that you have no idea what they're saying. Like, yeah, I think the screen shifts, and now it's camera looking at a blob would be the best way of describing this being. It's sort of a semi-translucent, round blob of some sort of jelly. And as you're sort of looking at it, like, is this what was talking to me? It changes, it starts flashing different colors. And you're like, yeah.
That explains it. That explains it.
And then it stands up. And there is a semi-translucent, made of jelly, often changing color, you on the screen. And it extends an arm, though it doesn't know how bones work or joints, so it extends an arm as though it were a tentacle. And gives you a very strange, blobby thumbs up. And then holds up its hands, your hands, to show that they're empty.
And I think like for a moment, like I think what I do very specifically, I hold up my hands. And like I hold up my hands and I very slowly I take in the biggest breath, right? And I push the button on the side of the thing, and my visor kind of slowly goes up to show like I am smiling, like to just for my own sake, because I'm like, this is the moment that I wanna drop this visor, at least for a moment. I'm not gonna be comfortable, but and I feel that icy cold on my face, but at least to show there is a face here. And it is, I'm trying to, and it is smiling, and so I put the thing back down, and I give 2 thumbs up, And I give a wave, and I kind of like point back and shrug towards the ship to say like, this is me.
Yeah, and I think that the person on the screen does the two thumbs up back at you, and then one of their hands transforms into sort of the shape of your ship, crashed, and then it goes, it holds that up like it's offering it to you, and then it changes one by one into your other friends, like its whole person sort of changes into your other friends, and then when it's back to you, it changes its hand into the ship again, and points at it, and sort of offers the two hands to you.
And I'm gonna gesture. I kind of start like, I think that we probably go back and forth a little bit. Where like I kind of give that gesture of like, as best I can, of like, go back one or two, and when it starts to show me the people again, I give it the thumbs up, and I'm like, and I'm kind of pointing at the ship. Basically, first off, I am greatly just enjoying working out this communication with this jelly. This is exactly what I want. And this is me verbally tapping an O card in this situation.
Yeah.
This is the best part of this is the best for me. And I think like I'm gesturing, and I'm like, we need them, like person 1, person 2, person 3, like them on ship. We can leave. Like I point to the ship, and I point like off in the distance, and I'm like, it's gone, but we need, but the people have to be on the ship for it to leave.
Yeah, I think they give you two thumbs up again, and your three spider friends dart off. And
Hey Ace.
yeah,
I think so. There's two possibilities here, and you're gonna latch onto one of them, and I don't want you to do that.
stop scaring me.
I'm just saying. I'm telling you, you're gonna latch onto one of these possibilities, and I want you to latch onto the other one.
Scope,
There are two possibilities.
Scope, just tell me what they are.
Either the spiders have gone off to kill all of the rest of the crew, or, and this is the one I want you to latch onto. I don't want you to latch onto that first one, because I think this is the likelier scenario. I think I may have just rescued the entire crew.
Oh god. Okay.
Which one are you latching onto, Ace?
The rescued one. Like you
Okay,
said.
that's the one I want you to latch onto, Ace. That's the one.
I don't like that the other one's an option. I don't like that you're so uncertain that this could be either.
If it makes you feel better, I am 78% sure that it is the latter option.
Okay. I've heard you give worse odds to a device that worked, so okay.
That's the scrap heap 41% guarantee.
You'd better be right. I think they cut off the comms.
We'll find out in just a minute.
Yeah, I think they cut off the comms before they give you a chance to say anything more, because they're just like, you just keep giving me way more information than I like to have.
Fair. That's fair.
And I think, like, as it's changing shape, the jelly person on the screen is, like, very slowly changing color as well. Like it's talking to you slowly. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's helping. But it's trying.
It's one of those things that, like, at this point, I think, like, this is Jeff interpreting, like, the dice results, but I think, like, there's an element of, like, I've been able to, like, at least kind of suss out some rough meanings from the colors, and, like, the color slashing slowly, I can tell that, like, at least I can tell that it's trying to talk to me slowly and steadily, and, like, It's not helping, like, legibility at all, but it's putting me at ease, right? It's
tone is conveying, even though meaning isn't.
Yeah, and that tone is that it's trying to talk to me slowly and comfortably and, like, communicate with me, and, like, sometimes when you're stressed, what you need is someone to talk to you slowly and comfortably and, like, put that effort into not overwhelming you, and in this instance, this seems like it's working out for me.
Yeah, and I think the person on the screen, after, like, a little moment, points behind you. I think it's pretty clear. I don't know how it's clear it's not pointing at you, but it's pointing behind you. And you sort of can turn around and you can see out into that big chamber where your ship is. And the spiders are leading your friends onto it. Your friends do not look stoked to be around this many spiders. They were in rooms by themselves, like you were, and they didn't know there were spiders. They're just discovering this. They're not liking it. But they're being ushered up onto this ship. And the ship is actually being sort of righted by some other spiders. It's being, like, propped up, rather than being sort of a crumpled heap in the middle. And I think, yeah, you've got the time and space to repair until you can fly off again.
And I think that we kind of cut ahead a little, right? We kind of, like, we watch the ship kind of get repaired a little bit. I'm working with the spiders to do it.
Yeah.
And I think, like, as that's happening, like, I probably have, like, a welding, like a welding thing, or like a space welder. And, like, periodically, like, we get this montage of us kind of repairing the ship and putting things back together. And, like, watching the crew just be, like, aghast as I'm throwing thumbs up to spiders, and I'm kind of directing a work crew, and I'm like, this is going great. Eventually, I do think that there's a shot of, like, there's, like, the briefest shot of me like, jamming a screwdriver into my comms thing, and, like, it flashing lights onto a wall, and me kind of, like, tapping it to at least, and, like, showing, like, at least trying. I'm not doing it well, but I'm, like, at least trying to, like, suss out, like, words and phrases, and
yeah,
and, like, I think that we see these shots throughout of me, like, welding something, but, like, out of view of everyone, and I'm welding and I'm kind of carving and I'm working, and I think that, like, unless you would like me to roll something for repairing the ship, I have a moment as we prepare to leave.
No, absolutely, just go for it.
Good. Yeah, perfect. So the moment that I want is, like, the ship is repaired, you know, I'm kind of led back in. I'm led back in by the spiders to the room. The some colors flash. I kind of flash some colors, and it is slow, right? Like, the colors that I'm flashing are slow in the way that the blob talking to me earlier was slow. But for me, it is more so, like, I have to consciously think about, like, okay, this one, then that one should be good.
Yeah.
But, like, what happens is, like, you know, they flash some colors, I flash some colors, and I take something I pull something, like, out of, like, the sleeve of my glove, or, like, the edge of my glove.
Yeah.
And I, like, hold it up to be like, can I give this to you? And what it is, like, a small, smooth, carved and welded and shaped piece of stone. Like, it is a stone-worked object in the shape of a thumbs up.
Hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think the spider that, like, they don't distinguish themselves on purpose, but I think, like, you know that this is the spider that you first met. It, like, hangs around you a lot.
And it's like I lean. I think that it's kind of two things, right? Like, I'm holding this kind of I'm holding the thumbs up kind of to the camera to be like, you as the blob that, like, worked with me and let me, like, work with these spiders. But also I think that, like, maybe what it is like, I hold this to the camera and, like, a spider comes around, and that's what I'm immediately like, that's my spider, that's my buddy.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't directly even, like, ever contact, like, I'm never actually in the room with this blob, but at least I'm able to be like, I hold this up as a gift, and the thing that I give it to is the spider that I had this immediate moment of contact with.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think what I'd like to end on, if there's nothing else that you wanted to...
Yeah, please.
I think the thing I want to end on is somehow some information gets sent to your ship's computers. And it's a set of coordinates. And I think that you can tell that they come from whoever was on the other side of that camera. Whoever is the actual boss of these spiders has sent you coordinates for your next adventure.
And I take these and I kind of walk up, and who is the either captain or pilot or who is, I guess, as much in charge as any of us are, as I feel like this has a communal energy to it.
I think it's like an older woman. I think she's middle-aged. I think she's got like a quite out-of-date hairstyle. But she wears it well, like that's just how she looks. She's not in fashion or out of fashion. That's just how she looks.
She's got her look and she's sticking with it.
Exactly. She found what works for her, and that's what she's gonna wear for the rest of her life. That's just how it works. And I think she's like got some scars on her face. I think she's just this older woman. I don't really have a name in mind. But
I think I walk up to I walk up to her and like I enter the coordinates, but I don't push the like activate or the like thing, and I'm like, so you know that I don't ask for much.
Yeah.
But I gotta ask. This time I gotta usually you give me a bed and you let me work on weird space stuff, and that's enough payment for me, and that's the deal that we've arranged. I gotta ask for something extra this time.
If it's to go to these coordinates, I'm not going to take much convincing. An alien gave you those. We've got to find out what's at the end.
I gotta say hi to a friend.
Yeah.
All right. Bon voyage. And I think that like the ship takes off, or the ship lifts up, and we fly out of the asteroid, and we watch the ship fly into the distance, and I think that's game.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yay, that was so much fun!
I'm glad you liked it.
That was lovely. What a lovely experience. That's the word that I would use for this, is lovely.
Yeah. It has the potential to not be so lovely, but you rolled like a champ, so you got all of the good endings.
I'm good. I'm glad. You know what? And honestly, they were the endings that I wanted. Like the second that we kind of started shaping out the story, they were the endings that I wanted, and I'm glad that the dice worked with me to get them.
Yeah. It's one of the things I'm really enjoying about running this game is the way different players react to not being able to communicate. Is really fascinating.
I love it. It makes me really happy. Thank you so much for playing this game with me. This was a delight.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for playing.
So, real quick, before we wrap up, where can people find you, your work, and Space Legs online?
So you can find me at To Your Stations on Twitter. You can find Space Legs at toyourstations.itch.io, along with a new game I just released this week called This Game Takes Place in Your Hometown. It's a 2-player horror game that is about going back home after many, many years at the end of the world. And yeah, that's the thing I released this week. I'm very proud of right now. But just follow me because a lot of stuff comes out.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing the show. This was an absolute delight. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap things up. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Jack for coming on to the show. That game was really special. That was a really beautiful, wonderful game that I'm really, really happy about. And it turned out exactly how I wanted, but also better than I could have expected. Could not be happier. Be sure to check out Space Legs. Be sure to go to toyourstations.itch.io to pick up your copy. And be sure to follow Jack on Twitter at toyourstations. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/partyofonepodcast. Join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. Head to our merch store at bit.ly/partyofone-merch, and if you enjoyed the show, consider leaving us a nice Podchaser or iTunes review, consider giving us some love on social media, or telling a friend about the show, anything to help new listeners find us and let us do bigger, better, and cooler things. Speaking of doing cool things, if you like podcasts, if you like role-playing games, and frankly, if you're here at this point in the episode, I'm pretty sure you do, you should check out All My Fantasy Children, which is the other podcast that I produce every single week with my best friend, Aaron Catano-Saez. It is on the One Shot Podcast Network, and every week on the show, we take a listener-submitted prompt, we spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe, one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming onto the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And I guess that's it. That's pretty much all we do here, so until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance, and as always, party on, everybody.
Never gonna die.